Tech Tales 56. Today is June 12th on a Saturday morning, 7:21 a.m. Year's 2021. So reading time slips from about 2 weeks ago. This is Thursday, a little over 2 weeks ago, May 27th. For the law firm Papa, 7:59 to 8:09 p.m., 10 minutes. For Mike in the office, adjusted phone extension number in Avaya IP Office Manager. I had several days previously to this reported a time slip of adjusting phone extensions for 3 different phones, and it turned out this one wasn't right. Now, I don't know if I made a mistake or somehow the change didn't take, but when I went back into Avaya IP Office Manager, it had an exclamation mark indicating this one was wrong. Well, when it's wrong, it won't let me save the changes and apply them. So it's a little odd there how that occurred, but not worth pursuing an answer to that. I just made the change to fix it, and we're good. Then next time slip on Friday, 22 minutes for the law office Papa, 1:05 p.m. to 1:27 p.m. for Mike. Now, this is a different Mike. I guess I could start differentiating multiple Mikes in the same office by doing the letter for the last name. I don't know. It probably overthinking that. Created shared mailbox of WC at their domain name and added Golf, Foxtrot, Mike as members. All right, so let's try this. Mike Sierra, Mike, and Mike Victor as members. So that's their first name and last names together. And those Mikes are different than the Mike that this time slip is named for. So they had asked me, the primary Mike had asked me if it was possible to create a separate email address that several of them could share in common. And this was called WC, stands for workers' comp. Well, one of the types of cases they do is workers' comp. And when they file papers with the court, they have to put a return email address. Well, they had been putting an individual email address within their office. But since multiple people handle workers' comp cases, they thought it might be a good idea to have them all come back to the same mailbox that each of them could access. So they thought, when the conversation first came up in their office, I was told that they presumed that it was quoted to me, one person saying, well, how could we do that? And someone else said, well, ask Doug. So they asked me, and it's very simple to do in Office 365, and it doesn't even require a subscription license. So you can create a shared mailbox in Office 365 and then assign members to that mailbox. Now, an interesting thing about it is this mailbox does not have a password at all. What happens is you create the mailbox and you give access to other people to that mailbox. So when they're signed in with their own credentials, they have access to this email box. So then I connected remotely to each of their computers. Let's see. Well, this time slip is this is just when I created it in the Office 365 admin panel. I'm going to have a subsequent time slip where I actually configure their computers for this. So it consists basically of creating the mailbox and then adding the others as members, and it's really pretty quick. So that was 22 minutes to do it, and by virtue of doing that this time, I'm probably going to be a little bit quicker than that next time. I have done shared mailboxes for them before with terminated employees, where an employee is no longer with the company for whatever reason, don't matter why. I can convert their mailbox to a shared mailbox and then make other people members of that mailbox, and then remove the license from the original person's account. So they're no longer paying a license fee every month. Then moving on to the law office whiskey. Okay, interesting. This one was reverting back a couple of days to Tuesday, May 25th. So this would have to do with when I edit time slips later, it changes the order of how they appear in this weekly timesheet. 10:45 to 10:55 a.m. for Romeo in the office, delivered new computer to the office. I remember why I didn't actually enter that time slip on the day that I did that task. I realized later that I had missed entering that time slip, so I entered it. So that was the computer where I mounted a microcomputer on the back of the monitor and modified the shipping box. So this is just the time slip for delivering it to their office, which that is 10 minutes. It took a lot more than 10 minutes because the drive time. This was a single purpose trip. It probably actually took me an hour to do, but I don't charge for travel time. And the reason for that is that I don't want somebody holding off on something that they need done because they don't want to pay the travel time for it. And it's on me to organize my travels during the day to make an efficient route. Any particular technician might choose to do that differently. That's the way I chose to do it. And then another reason for that is, for instance, if I mess up, if I make a mistake, I've told you before that I typically will charge for the time that I spend fixing the mistake, but I won't charge for the travel time. If I'm having to make another trip out, I don't ever charge travel time, not for the first trip, not for subsequent trips. So if they call me and want me to come back, I'm going to be charging them for the fixed time. Now, the justification for that is in order to avoid making the mistake, I would have to spend more time in the original visit testing and double checking and ensuring I didn't miss anything. And I think their overall cost over the year is going to be higher. So I think it's a fair thing that I charge for the time that I spend to fix the mistake, because in order to not have made the mistake, I'm going to have to put more time in on the original service call. And the mistakes, frankly, are never a big problem, or doesn't really cause them a disruption in service. If it did, I would adjust the way I handle this. So then let's move on to, I got to switch to the next week. Let's see, do we have time for another? Yeah, we do. Going on to the next week. So this was on Sunday, May 30th. It's a 13-minute for the cable and company mic. I say cable and company, I've told you before, that doesn't mean that they do Ethernet cabling. They have wiring components, terminal ends, like battery connectors for cars, trucks, industrial machines, insulation, the wraps that go around wires, all kinds of things related to wires, and they ship worldwide. So this is again for the owner, Charlie in the office. Remote connection to Echo's computer, reconfigured Outlook to send and receive using the company name at Gmail account. Disabled the company name at sbcglobal.com account. Configuration left present in Outlook as a reminder in the future of the unique configuration scheme. So I've had several different days of talking about this issue. They have 3 email addresses. To the left side of the @ symbol is a few variations of their company name. The right side of the @ symbol, there's sbcglobal.com, att.net, att.net, and gmail.com. All serving the same company purpose, essentially. So sbcglobal.com was first, because when they first started with dial-up modems, that's the email address they got, and that is the email address that everybody knows for them. And then SBC Global was absorbed by ATT. So they had to create an email account under att.net in order to have that account. So when they're having their internet access with this ATT ISP service, they were still using the sbcglobal.com email address. Okay, so then eventually they came up with some kind of need to have a Gmail account. So they had created a Gmail account with their same company name. And then, now these are all happening over many years of time. So through time, one of their computers started having trouble sending and receiving for the sbcglobal.net account. So they forwarded, and I think I was involved at this time. I think I might have configured this forwarding. So we configured a forwarding from sbcglobal.net to the Gmail account so that the owner's computer, his computer was the one that was having trouble, was able to receive email for the sbcglobal.net account, but no, that's not true. He couldn't receive email, but he could send email using the sbcglobal.net account. So at the first variation of this was that for his computer to be able to receive. The emails from this account were forwarded to the Gmail account because he could receive the Gmail account, and then he would reply to those emails from the SBC Global account. Yeah. Now, the Echo's computer for quite a long time was able to send and receive with the SBC Global account just fine. Then a variation occurred where this computer, Echo's computer, wasn't able to send using the SBC Global account. So this computer started sending using the Gmail account, but was still able to receive natively the SBC Global account. Now, this recent period of problems that we've gone through, what happened was the owner's computer was still able to receive the forwarded emails that SBC Global forwarded to Gmail, and he could send, and by this time this one was, we had changed it to where it was sending with the Gmail account, but claiming to be from, using a reply to address of the sbcglobal.net account. Now, in this recent troubles, this computer was unable to receive the sbcglobal.net account. And so that's when we went through the troubles with trying to recover that account and discovered that the SBC Global account and att.net account had troubles. The SBC Global account was challenging us. It wanted to verify identity. So the way this happens is they just want you to log into the website to validate that you're the correct identity, because Outlook just keeps prompting for the password. You put in the correct username, the correct password, you know it's correct, and it fails to authenticate. So then we had gone through a period of time where we knew that, and the procedure then is to go to the website, log in with the correct username and password, and once we did that, we could go back to Outlook and it would work just fine. So it's basically validating that we're the correct identity. But now what was happening is when they went to the website to try to log in, it wanted an extra validation. It wanted an extra authentication step. So it asked those security questions and the zip code, and we failed to answer those correctly. So we tried to do the password reset or password recovery button. We weren't really trying to recover the password. We knew we had the right password. That we know that. because we know that they challenge us on this. So we did the password recovery, trying to just get to the point to where we could validate, yes, we are the right person. And by this point in time, over the previous period of months, I have learned from other people's accounts that what has to be done in order to be able to send and receive from these SBC Global or AT&T.net accounts is to generate a one-time password from the AT&T account or the SBC Global account, whichever one is involved, and then use that password when we're actually trying to access the email through Outlook. Now, something I haven't mentioned during explaining today on this time slip is that Yahoo has taken over the email servicing for both SBC Global and AT&T.net. So when we're trying to send and receive email, we're actually using Yahoo mail servers. And I think that there was at one point in time where the mail server names actually said something like yahoo.sbcglobal or sbcglobal.yahoo.net, something like that. So then there's also a place in Yahoo where we have to select a security option to allow less secure apps. If you're going to use Outlook, Yahoo considers that to be a less secure app. Well, on Yahoo, if it's an account that was originally SBC Global or AT&T.net, that security screen is not accessible in Yahoo because security settings have to be handled on the sbcglobal.net website or the att.net website. So you have to log in on their websites in order to access the security panel. And when you do that, you can generate that one-time access code, then go back to Yahoo's website and use that one-time access code as the password. And after you do that once, your original password will resume working. I've been through this procedure with another client who did not have the complication that we have with this cable company. The complication we have, the reason we couldn't get this accomplished, is because in order to access the sbcglobal.net account, which is the one that they've had first and they've used all along, in order to access that, we failed the security questions and the zip code, and the cell phone number. It had a phone number to use as an authentication. That cell phone number is no longer in use by anybody, so that failed. So then the next step for recovering, another recovery option we had was to send an email, and it told us the email address that it's going to send to. And it blacks out part of the email address, so we only see the beginning and the end. And it was obvious from what we saw that it was going to send the password recovery link to the att.net email address. So that email came through. When we clicked on the button within there to reset the password, it took us to a screen to reset the password for the att.net account, not for the sbcglobal.net account. So the sbcglobal.net account had a email address for password recovery purposes configured to go to att.net. When we received that email, the link within that email proceeded to reset the password for the att.net account. That wasn't going to help us. That's not going to fix the sbcglobal.net account. So this fix was the end of the issue here, and it was a pretty simple fix and a nice answer to the problem. And if I had contemplated that at the beginning of this series of struggles, we could have saved some time. And that's the way it goes sometimes. This is Monday night armchair quarterbacking, where you say, oh, you guys should have done such and such. You can go look back at this experience and say, oh, I should have done such and such. Back at the beginning, all this extra stuff was a waste of time. But I didn't know about these configuration edge case configurations until we finished all this. So the fix for it was to configure Echo's computer to send and receive the Gmail account, because the SBC Global account was being forwarded to the Gmail account. So Echo's computer can send and receive with a Gmail account, and I configured it to send using the Gmail account, but use a reply to address of the SBC Global account. So to the customers and vendors, it looks the same. Now, I've had conversations with the owner of the company, and we're going to, the eventual long-term solution is to set up their email accounts with their own domain name. They already have a domain name because they have a website. They're going through other changes right now because of changing the software from a local server to a web-based software, and we're going to be installing new computers for them. And I'd rather we wait to get through all of that before trying to convert them to email addresses with their own domain name, because we're still going to have to somehow accommodate this issue with the original email address. So we got to a point where it's working. We're going to stay with that so he can move forward with converting the software to the website and have his attention focused on that. Well, that made this a long tech tales. Yeah. Oh, well, I hope that was interesting or useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.